Well, ladies and gentlemen, it finally happened. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for turning in to Team Forbidden's YouTube page. It is I, Scott, Central Summon the Fanatic, back at you with the updated profile, the long-awaited return of my beloved Cyber Dragons. Not sure is finally out. Let's get into this. Alright, so this is the sixth time that we've had this deck on the channel, so I'm going to be very brief with the card effects here. First off, 3 Cyber Dragon, no more, no less. If you don't have, if your opponent has a monster and you don't, you just drop it. Drop it like it's hot. Next up, finally, the new boy, Cyber Dragon Notcher. This card is so good. You may remember in my last deck profile, every time when I was at the YCS, when I had fear, I wish it was this guy. Words cannot describe how happy I am to finally have this card, and how wonderful friends I have who both got me a Nintendo Switch for my birthday and were able to help to get me the other 2 pieces of this. This card's new, so I will go ahead and explain it. This card is essentially Galaxy Soldier and Cyber Rev system all in one frickin' card. So basically, each of his effects are hard once per turn. His name is treated as Cyber Dragon on the field. 200 attack. Level 1. He's a 1-for-1 target. He's a machine dupe target. That's good. If that weren't enough right there, you can special summon him from your hand once per turn by discarding any other monster in your hand. Oh, and whenever he's summoned, doesn't matter how, you get to special summon any machine monster with 2100 attack or defense from your graveyard. For those who don't know how this can apply in Cyber Dragons, let me see, if you properly fusion summon this guy, you can just bring him back. Oh, you can bring back Nova. You can bring back Infinity. You can bring back Seeger. And you might not see it all that much, but you can bring back Cyber Twin. Defense 2100. Outside of that, it's like you just summon the normal Cyber Dragon. He's an instant Seeger, which, by the way, you can bring him back too, obviously. But that's pretty much all he does. Again, the effects are hard once per turn. This card is a godsend. I am so happy we have it now. Next, not forgotten, is Cyber Dragon Hearse. And you know what it does. If it's special summoned, it can become level 5. It's you can only use 1 effect per turn, and only once that turn. I believe. Hold on, let me double check that really quick. Yeah, this is the hard once per turn. This is a soft hard once per turn. Just sent to the graveyard, you can summon get any Cyber Dragon from the graveyard or deck to your hand. If it's from the deck, it has to be the main Cyber Dragon, but if it's from the graveyard, it can be any of them that say names treated as Cyber Dragon. Speaking of the OG, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of miffed that this guy isn't ultra rare to go with the rest of them. Along with this guy. I mean, this guy, you still run 1, because he's a nice extender with core. In TCG, you can chain block with Ash Blossom. OCG, you cannot, because of how, effects work over there. But this one, he's just an extra body on board. He does get in the way of the machine dupe, so be careful, but he's essentially just an instant seeker. Core, I really shouldn't have to explain him. Summon him, get any of your cyber spells or traps from the deck, and if he's in the graveyard, you just banish him, summon any Cyber Dragon monster from the deck. Any monster as long as it has Cyber Dragon in the name. Doesn't have to be Cyber Dragon itself. Next, the honorary Cyber Dragon. 3 Galaxy Soldiers. I mean, you either open him. He's an instant rank 5 as long as you don't get Ash during permanence. Speaking of Ash Blossom, 3 Ash. It's Ash Blossom. I really shouldn't have to explain it. Although I will admit she's nowhere near as good as she used to be. But against certain decks, she just kills them outright. And that's it for the monsters. 19 monsters. Might seem a little low in the monster count, but you have enough of your cards to search through all of your monsters. For example, this card is now 30 bucks. I wish I had held on to my 4th and 5th copies of this card before selling them. I would have made so much more money. But it basically search any Cyber Dragon monster is basically what this card does. 2 Cyber Repair Plant. I actually resolved both effects in sequence today, once for the first time ever. You either add a Light Machine, or if you have 3 or more Cyber Dragons in your graveyard, you can shuffle a Light Machine back. You run 2 now, because you have more ways to get Cyber Dragon in the graveyard, and more targets that you want to search. That Notcher, for example. 1 Cyber Rep System, because it's Searchable Monster Reborn. 1 Cyber Load Fusion, because this card is amazing. 1 Overload Fusion, because I feel like multiple overloads are a bit bricky. I had 2 of them last time. I feel like 1 is perfect enough for this. Plus, besides, you want to get the deck as close to 40 cards as possible. 3 Machine Dupe. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 9 targets now. I literally can't believe it. This is a dream come true. We have 9 targets. You got this guy, 3 of them. You got this guy, if you're in a pinch, 3 of them. You got this guy, 3 of them. As long as you don't summon this, you got 9 targets. And as long as you don't open, multiple Cyber Dragons in your hand, along with any of those cards, you good. You good. You Gucci, bro. You all good. Speaking of regular Monster Reborn, a Foolish Burial. I really shouldn't have to explain this one for Cyber Dragons. This makes your repair plants live. There, I explained it for you for that one naysayer in the comment who always like, why didn't you explain the card effects? Yeah, that's what you sound like. Deal with it. 1 for 1. We have 6 1-for-1 targets. I will admit, this is something I didn't run in the last one. I saw another guy who topped at that YCS. He ran the 1-for-1. I'm like, yeah, that might have been a decent idea. I mean, we've only got the 3 targets, but yeah, that might have been decent. So, yeah, that's it for the spells. No Call by the Grave in the main. I want to figure out how to get it in here, but I honestly don't know what to cut. For trap cards, 1 Cyber Low Overflow, 3 Impermanents. This card has been reprinted now, so they're only the reprints are only for about 40 bucks each. If you can't afford these, go ahead and get the reprints, because the reprints as Ultras still look fantastic. 3 Evenly Matched. This is mostly because you are going second deck. If your opponent sets up a whole bunch of back row or a big board, you just trigger their negates and then just get rid of their board. Doesn't matter if it's monsters or spells or traps. Again, you are going second deck. You'll skip your battle phase and the chance to OTK them for it, but you can also just set stuff up with Cyber Dragons and just kill from there. Alright, so that's it for the main deck. 40 cards. Let's get into the side deck first. Extra deck, excuse me. 2 Mega Fleet. You need the 2 for the grind game against the Sky Striker matchup, plus almost every single deck, unless True Draco or Trickstar, summon something in the extra monster zone right here. So you're usually going to have something to take with that. Fortress, because you're occasionally going to run into extra machine decks. Cyber Eternity Dragon. This is the Cyber Load target. Use this one over any of the other ones because, well, if you summon this in defense mode, Thunder Dragon literally cannot get over this. They literally can't do anything. You just sit there and you stall them out. But it's also the most generic. It's more generic than, say, Cyber Twin. Bringing him up again. I did want to put him in there, but Cyber Twin needs specifically Cyber Dragon versus, this guy, who is any 2 Cyber Dragon monsters. And this one is more generic, and it gives me a defensive option in case, things go south relatively fast. Speaking of other Cyber Dragon monsters, 2 Nova, 2 Infinity. It's standard. You run the 2 Infinity for the... You could take out 1 Infinity, arguably, but you kind of need the 2 for the grind game. 1 Constellar Pallades. I still really like this guy. Not sure makes him a little more difficult to get out, because you can, you're locked into the machines. That's one thing I forgot to mention with Notcher. After you use the special summon effect for him, you are locked into summoning machines for the rest of the turn. You cannot go into Link Karibo with it. You can't go into anything that's not a machine. So let's get to, speaking of Link Karibo, let's get to Link monsters. One summon sorceress. I am not running the Griffin combo. That may seem a little hypocritical with both the summon sorceress and the Pallades, but even when I had the combo, 9 times out of 10, I never went into it. And yes, it's a decent combo, and you can reset your spells and traps. I never went into it. So what's the point of having something in here if you never go into it? That being said, I oftentimes never make these, but I can't think of anything better to put in. But there are situations where you're not going to be locked out of your extra Natures, so you need something. And Summon Sorceress is the only way to get Pallades out. In addition, you get a Pallades in Infinity, which arguably is a little more damaging than this, but this just shuts a whole bunch of stuff down. But just so you know, you can run it if you like. I've just never liked this card. One Click for Genius, because you need a different generic machine monster that's a Link material for other stuff. One Seeger. Yeah, I know, I've been preaching 2 for a while. I could put another one in, but I just don't really see the reason for it. And the one Link Karibo that rounds the extra deck off at 15 cards. If you want, you could also run stuff like Hippo Shinigami, because they're pretty much all lights except for the, you know, your win button, the Chimeritic Rampage Dragon. You could also, if you want, run Borosword Dragon. Again, I do not have room at all. Konami, bump up the extra deck size, please. Make it a lot more fun. Alright, into the side deck. 2 Jizukiru, because you need the Kaiju. Artifact Lancia, because stuff that banishes is everywhere right now. You got the Thunder Dragon stuff. You got, you know, Call by the Graves. I'm citing them because I can't fit them in the main deck. And various other things. I don't have these ones. You could run the Inspector Borders if you like, but I'm not running them in here. If you recall, I ran them in here last time along with the Pankratops. You can also run the Pankratops in here. Again, 15 cards. I don't have room. I felt like these were a little more important for basic back row decks. Basic summon limit, and there could be only one. Kill this deck. You need this card for those. 3 Call by the Grave, because hand traps are everywhere. They want to droll you. You can be like, no. If you have if you're facing Sky Strikers, they just have a Ray in the graveyard. You can be like, no. 2 Red Reboot. You could run more if you like. If Altergeist and True Dracos are a little more prevalent in your meta, or back row heavy decks are a little more prevalent in your meta, but they don't seem to be all around anywhere right now. I did have 3, but I tried to figure out the other 6 cards to put in. And 2 Goes a Match, because you need more options going first, and this will lock a lot of cards out of their decks. So yeah, that's the new updated Cyber Dragons. Still needs a little bit of improvement. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you guys later.